Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina named among top 3 inspirational women leaders among Commonwealth countries. Historic 7th March tomorrow, the day of Bangabandhu's historic speech at Racecourse Ground. Nation set to celebrate the day with various programs. BNP chosen path of conspiracy as people do not respond to their movement, says Ubaidul Qadir. Bangabandhu's 7th March speech transformed unarmed nation into armed one. No such motivational speech found throughout the world, comments Information Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. Government takes decision to demolish and rebuild 16 bridges over rivers around Dhaka costing 1600 crore taka. 20 killed and 30 injured by suicide car bomb blast in Somalia. And India beat England by an innings and 25 runs in the 4th test and win the series by 3-1. Assalamu alaikum viewers, I'm Tanzila Mana Sultana welcoming you all to News at 10 on BTV, BTV World and BTV Chattogram Centre. You have just heard the headlines, now moving on to the details. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has been named among top 3 inspirational women leaders out of 54 Commonwealth nations. In a special announcement ahead of the International Women's Day 2021, Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland Kersey named Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as one of the top 3 inspirational women leaders in Commonwealth for demonstrating extraordinary leadership during the COVID pandemic. Along with Bangladesh Prime Minister, Commonwealth Secretary-General also gave the same honour to Premier of New Zealand Jacinda Ardern and Prime Minister of Barbados Mia Amor Motley.
Which woman in your life inspires you? For me, whilst I am inspired all the time by so many women and girls, I would like to name 3 phenomenal leaders in our Commonwealth. That's Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Mia Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, for their leadership during COVID-19 in their roles in their respective countries. All 3, alongside so many other women, have given me hope for a world that delivers a common future for women and men and serves all of our common good. So I want to ask you to join me in celebrating women's leadership in homes, communities and governments ahead of International Women's Day.
Historic March 7 tomorrow.
সূর্য উঠেছে রক্ত লাল রক্ত লাল রক্ত লাল জোয়ার এসেছে সমুদ্রে রক্ত লাল রক্ত লাল রক্ত লাল.
The nation is set to observe the historic March 7 tomorrow, commemorating the landmark speech of Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, which was touted as indirect declaration of the country's independence in 1971. This year, the observance of the day will be more significant as the nation is going to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of the country's independence on March 26 next, while Mujibur, the year-long celebration of Bangabandhu's birth centenary, is going on. The landmark fiery speech of Bangabandhu inspired the Bengalis to prepare for the War of Liberation. On March 7, Bangabandhu, in his historic speech at a mammoth rally in the then Racecourse Maidan, now Sarawati Udyan in the city, directed the freedom-loving Bengalis for waging a decisive struggle against the Pakistani occupation forces. In a speech before millions of people, Bangabandhu, in unequivocal terms, said, "We spilled our blood. We are ready to shed more blood. The people of the country shall be freed, inshallah." এবারের সংগ্রাম আমাদের মুক্তির সংগ্রাম, এবারের সংগ্রাম স্বাধীনতার সংগ্রাম। The struggle this time is for our emancipation. The struggle this time is for our independence. The great leader and the greatest Bengali of all times went on to add. The war began 18 days later when the Pakistan Army launched Operation Searchlight against unarmed Bengali civilians, intellectuals, students, politicians and armed personnel. On October 13, 2017, the UNESCO recognized the historic speech as part of the world's documentary heritage. It has been included in the Memory of the World International Register, a list of world's important documentary heritage maintained by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. To mark the day, different social, cultural and political organizations, student, professional bodies have drawn up elaborate programs including laying wreaths at the portrait of Bangabandhu and holding discussions with maintaining health guidelines in view of the coronavirus pandemic. Awami League General Secretary Obaidul Qadir has said BNP has chosen the path of conspiracy as the people of the country do not respond to its movement. He said this at the joint meeting of Awami League Secretaries Body and Dhaka North and South Awami League at party's central office at 23 Bangabandhu Avenue this morning. Awami League General Secretary Obaidul Qadir presided over the meeting while Awami League Presidium members Jahangir Kobir Nanok and Abdur Rahman, Joint General Secretaries Mahabubul Alam Hanif, Dr. Deepu Moni, AFM Bahauddin Nasim and central and city leaders were present. Awami League General Secretary said BNP's Golden Jubilee programs of the Liberation War, which distorted country's history, have frustrated the nation deeply.
স্বাধীনতার সুবর্ণ জয়ন্তী নিয়ে বিএনপি গৃহীত কর্মসূচি আজকে বাস্তবে লোক দেখানো এক কর্মসূচি সাম্প্রদায়িক গোষ্ঠীর সাথে আঘাত করে তারা স্বাধীনতার আদর্শ বাস্তবায়িত করতে চায়। আজকে নিজেদের মুখচ্ছবিকে আড়াল করতে তারা এই মুখোশের আশ্রয় নিয়েছে। হঠাৎ করে 46 বছর পর তাদের বোধোদয় হয়েছে যে 7ই মার্চকে তারা দিন নিষিদ্ধ করেছিল, নিষিদ্ধই করেনি। এ ভাষণ যারা বাজাতো তাদেরকে তারা নির্যাতন করত। 7ই মার্চ পালন করছে, আবার আরেক দিকে বলছে একটি ভাষণ স্বাধীনতা এনে দেন। আসলে এই কথাটি বলার জন্যই তারা 7ই মার্চের আলোচনা। আজকে বিএনপি আন্দোলন করতে গেলে জনগণ সাড়া দেয় না, কারণ বিএনপির আন্দোলন মানেই হচ্ছে সহিংসতা। তাই তাদের আন্দোলনে সাড়া নেই। আর নির্বাচন তারা কি দিয়ে কি দেখাবে? তাদের শাসনে এদেশে মানুষকে হাওয়া ভবন, খাওয়া ভবন, লুটপাট, দুর্নীতি, সন্ত্রাস, নারী নির্যাতন ছাড়া তারা কি দিতে পেরেছে? তাদের আমলে উন্নয়ন অর্জনের এমন কিছু আছে যেটা দেখিয়ে জনগণের কাছ থেকে তারা ভোট চাইতে পারে। তাদের ভোট কমে যাচ্ছে, কমে যাওয়ার সঙ্গত কারণ তাদের নেতিবাচক রাজনীতি।
Bangabandhu's historic 7 March speech turned an unarmed nation into an armed one in 1971, and such a stimulating speech is rare in the world. Information Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood made this observation at a discussion at Chattogram Press Club today. Chattogram North District Awami League organized it, marking the day of Bangabandhu's historic 7 March speech. The Information Minister says BNP ignores the development spree and achievements of the country, and it is making efforts to infuse momentum into politics with other issues. Dr. Hassan Mahmood called upon leaders and activists of his party to remain alert against propaganda on social media.
7ই মার্চের ভাষণ এমন একটি ভাষণ ছিল যে সেই ভাষণ আজও যে কেউ শুনলে তিনি যেভাবে উদ্দীপ্ত হন, তার গায়ের লোম যেভাবে খাড়া হয়ে যায়, আজও সেই ভাষণ শুনলে। এমন ভাষণ, কোন নেতার ভাষণ বিশ্ব ইতিহাসে প্রকৃতপক্ষে বিরল। বাঙালি একটি নিরস্ত্র জাতি ছিল। এই 7ই মার্চের একটি ভাষণের মাধ্যমে সেই নিরস্ত্র বাঙালি সশস্ত্র বাঙালিতে রূপান্তরিত হল। নিউজিল্যান্ডের প্রধানমন্ত্রী, বাংলাদেশের প্রধানমন্ত্রী আরেকজন, তারা এই করোনা মোকাবেলা করার ক্ষেত্রে যে সক্ষমতা দেখিয়েছে এটি পৃথিবীর মানুষকে উদ্দীপ্ত করছে, উৎসাহিত করছে এবং নারী সমাজকে উৎসাহিত করছে। যখন সামাজিক যোগাযোগ মাধ্যমে অপপ্রচার চালানো হয় সেটার বিরুদ্ধে প্রচার চালানো, সুপ্রচারটা প্রতিষ্ঠা করা। গতকাল রিজভী আহমেদ নামে চোরাগপ্তা একটা মশাল মিছিল করেছে। কি মশাল মিছিলের দাবি কি? এই আইন বাতিল করতে হবে। তো তাদেরকে বলবো, এইভাবে চোরাগপ্তা মিছিল আর চোরাগপ্তা মানুষের উপর হামলা চালিয়ে কোনো লাভ হবে না। দেশ আজকে যেভাবে এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে এতে জনগণ আজকে সন্তুষ্ট। জনগণকে বিভ্রান্ত করার জন্য আপনারা যে পদ্ধতি গ্রহণ করেছেন, বিদেশি মিডিয়া ভাড়া করা, সামাজিক যোগাযোগ মাধ্যমে লন্ডন থেকে বিভিন্ন দেশ থেকে অপপ্রচার চালানো, নিজের পরিচয় গোপন রেখে অপপ্রচার চালানো, এগুলো করে কোনো লাভ হবে না।
Chattogram North District Awami League President A.M.A. Salam presided over the program. Essayist and Liberation War researcher Muhammad Shamsul Haq and North District Awami League General Secretary Sheikh Ataur Rahman, among others, spoke. Later, Information Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood attended an anti-dowry and anti-drug rally organized by Anjuman-e-Rajawiyya Nooriya Bangladesh at Jamiatul Falah Mosque Complex. Information Minister urged all to be vocal against social media addiction and against misguiding the youth with misinterpretation of Islam, alongside against dowry and drugs.
আলেম সমাজকে অনুরোধ জানাবো যে আপনারা যৌতুকের বিরুদ্ধে, মাদকের বিরুদ্ধে যেমন কথা বলছেন, ইসলামের ভুল ব্যাখ্যা দেওয়া হয়, ভুল ব্যাখ্যা দিয়ে অনেককে বিপদগামী করা হয় এবং অনেককে জঙ্গি বানানোর জন্য চেষ্টা করা হয়। এগুলোর বিরুদ্ধে আমি জানি আপনারা কথা বলেন।
Now international news. At least 20 people were killed and 30 wounded by a suicide car bomb just outside a restaurant near the port in Somalia's capital Mogadishu yesterday. The state-owned media reported that the blast occurred at the Lul Yemeni restaurant near the port. No one claimed responsibility for the blast. The UN Security Council was unable to come to terms on Friday on a joint statement on the Myanmar military's increasingly bloody crackdown on pro-democracy dissidents. A closed meeting of the body charged with ensuring international peace and stability concluded without a statement, despite calls from the US and other members for a united front to address the crisis. Russia and China have previously voiced opinions in support of non-interference, describing the increasingly dire situation as an internal affair. Christine Schorner Bergener, the UN's special envoy for Myanmar, called on member states to act during the closed session, warning that the hopes of the country's people are waning. COVID-19 global death toll crosses 25,93,000 and more than 11,67,84,000 have been infected globally. Besides, more than 9,23,76,000 people have recovered from the virus so far. The US, the current epicenter of the corona pandemic, has now 2,95,94,000 confirmed cases and over 5,35,000 deaths. 10 COVID-19 patients died in the country in last 24 hours, taking the death toll from the pandemic to 8,451. The recovery count rose to 5,01,966 after another 822 recovered during the period. A press release of the Directorate General of Health Services confirmed it today. The tally of the infections rose to 5,49,724 with 540 new cases. The government has decided to demolish and reconstruct 16 bridges built unplanned over the rivers around Dhaka. Experts say previous governments constructed these bridges without taking into cognizance the height necessary for movement of water vessels. Amin Bazar Bailey Bridge, Tongi Rail and Road Bridge, Ashulia Bridge, Dewan Embankment Bridge near Uttara Sector 16 and Burigonga Second Bridge are among these structures. All the 16 bridges have become major hurdles for movement of water vessels. The chairman of Bangladesh Inland Water Transport Authority also says these bridges were built without taking into consideration the necessary height for movement of water vessels. The local government minister says the reconstruction of these bridges is necessary to expedite sustainable development. Now news on sports. India crushed England by an innings and 25 runs in the fourth test to seal the series by 3-1 in Ahmedabad today. With this victory, India has booked their meeting with New Zealand in the World Test Championship at Lord's in June this year. India started their third day's batting with the overnight score of 294 runs for 7. They scored 365 runs in their first innings. Rishabh Pant was adjudged man of the match while he scored 101 runs in the first innings. Washington Sundar was unbeaten on 96. In reply, England were bowled on 135 runs in the second innings. Spinners Ravichandran Ashwin and Axar Patel took 5 wickets each. The English scored 205 runs in their first innings. Ashwin was adjudged man of the series. To end the bulletin headlines once again. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina named among top 3 inspirational women leaders among Commonwealth countries. Historic 7th March tomorrow, the day of Bangabandhu's historic speech at Racecourse Ground. Nation set to celebrate the day with various programs. BNP chosen path of conspiracy as people do not respond to their movement, says Abadul Qadir. Bangabandhu's 7th March speech transformed an armed nation into armed one. No such motivational speech found throughout the world, comments Information Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. Government takes decision to demolish and rebuild 16 bridges over rivers around Dhaka costing 1600 crore taka. 20 killed and 30 injured by suicide car bomb blast in Somalia. And India beat England by an innings and 25 runs in the fourth test and win the series by 3-1. And that's all from the newsroom for the moment. Thank you for staying with us, and we invite